guys, it's me. I'm here for Top 5 Wednesday. It's been a hot minute since I did a Top 5 Wednesday. If you're not familiar with it, it's a Goodreads group hosted by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, and I will link her channel as well as the Goodreads group down below. As far as this video being in vlog format again, it's because I still have really messed up lighting. That being the case, the theme for this week is top 5 underrated books, and so I'm going to get right into it. I've got a ton of underrated books, and narrowing this down to 5 was very difficult. The first one I want to talk about is actually an author. It's Sarah Addison Allen. This is The Girl Who Chased the Moon, and I do love this story. This was actually a really cute story. But Sarah Addison, whoa there, writes like magical realism stories, and they're so cute. I've never read a Sarah Addison Allen book that I didn't like. I think she's totally underrated, and I think everyone should read some Sarah Addison Allen. The next book is Crown Duel by Sherwood Smith, and I have talked about this before on my channel. This is actually a duology by Sherwood Smith. The first book is Crown Duel, the second book is Court Duel. And in the first book, it's about Mel and her brother Bran, and they have started a rebellion against the king because he's like a garbage king and doesn't take care of his people. Their dad's dying wish was that her and her brother, you know, kind of do what they can in making this rebellion kind of like going forth with it. And so that is what they do. And that is what the book is about. Most of the book is actually about Mel, and she's actually taken captive during the story, and it's kind of about how she's dealing with the fact that her enemies aren't necessarily who she thought they were, and her coming to terms with that. And then in the second book, Court Duel, they have won the war against the king, and now they kind of have to decide who's going to run the kingdom. And so she is kind of thrust into this new world of, you know, court and all the things that come with it, like the secret meanings behind everything, and just that lifestyle she was never a part of growing up. She is now forced to be a part of it. And yeah, so I love it. And it takes place in like a fantasy world. There's magic and stuff, and it's really good. And I'm 23 and I read this book like 13 years ago, and I freaking love it. The same feelings I got from it when I read it as a child, I still get now. It's such a good story, and you should read it and give it a shot if you like fantasy or just good things. The next one is also an author, Susanna Kearsley, and this is The Winter Sea, which I brought this up because I'm sure by now everybody knows how much I love Outlander. The Winter Sea kind of gave me like Outlander feels. Like, I loved it. It made me cry a lot, like sob. I was sobbing like a freaking infant straight out of the womb. Susanna Kearsley writes typically historical fiction, but a lot of times it's melded with kind of magical realism in a sense, because like The Winter Sea deals with like ancestral memory, so it's about this woman in modern day who has memories that of her ancestors. And then another book, Mariana, deals with reincarnation, and another book, The Rose Garden, deals with time travel. And same thing with Susanna Kearsley. I've never read a Susanna Kearsley book that I didn't like. I love every single book I've read of hers. They're just all so good. Like, I've never read anything by her I didn't like. I'm pretty sure everything has a 5-star rating for me. If not 5, 4. Like, nothing's been below a 4. I just love it. If you like historical fiction, if you like things like Outlander, definitely give Susanna Kearsley a try. She's awesome, and I love her words so much. The next book is The Transl Saga by Saga, however you say it. Sega. By Gary Paulson. Gary Paulson wrote The Hatchet and that series of books, Brian's Winter and The River and Winter Song and all this nonsense. Well, not nonsense, I mean, people like them. I don't like them. They're survivalist stories. They're just not my thing. The Transl Saga, however, is also a survivalist story, but it's like a science fiction survivalist story, and I loved this book so much. It was like this kind of book when I read it as a kid, and I finished it and I got to the end. I was just like, wow, I didn't know a book could be that good. It was so good. And I actually handed it off to my brother recently. He is 11 and he's a tough critic. He doesn't like anything that I suggest to him, but he loved it too. So if you need confirmation from my 11-year-old brother. He enjoyed it. And it's the story of, I think it was Mark. It's the story of Mark, and he goes on like this camping trip by himself. I think he's 14 or 15 or something like that. And I mean, his stupid parents let him go camping by himself. Anyway, he goes on this like solo camping trip, and he falls into this blue light and wakes up on an alien planet, and now he's gotta like survive and try not to die. There's like these wild creatures that attack him. There's people he now has to deal with, and he can't communicate with them. Some of them are hostile, some of them are not. And the end, I am 23 years old, and that end still gets to me every time I read it. It's so good. I recommend it if you enjoy Gary Paulson's, typical books, like his survivalist stories, because it does have those vibes. But I also recommend it if you enjoy science fiction, or once again, if you like good things, then you should read this good thing. Now, the last book that I've decided to talk about for underrated, I don't actually have access to at the moment because it's buried in a box right now. I have like a box set aside of books for trades. Warm Bodies, that is the book I wanted to talk about by Isaac Marion. And I chose it for underrated because, I know it has a movie out and everything, but I decided to put it on underrated because I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough. Like, I feel like a lot of people just like, oh, it's a zombie love story, ew, gross, no thanks. It is. It's the story of R, and R is a zombie. He has hardly, very vague to zero memory of his life as a human. But he does have a consciousness. He is aware that he is a zombie. He knows he has to kill people in order to survive, and he's not a fan of it, but it is what it is. It's his only option. In this zombie world, the zombies, when they eat the brains of their victims, they kind of get flashes of that victim's life. And through one of the people that R eats, he starts getting flashes of this guy's girlfriend, and her name was Julie. And, and he basically falls in love with Julie. And over the course of the story, he slowly begins to retain his humanity. And, his morality and his conscience grows. And it's just such a good story. And I feel like a lot of people just write it off. And just don't write it off. It's so good. It just deals with how the definition of, it deals with how people define humanity, or what makes you human, and how that differs from person to person. It's really good political undertones, and it's just, oh my god, it's so good. And there's a sequel coming out called The Burning World, and I swear to God, you guys, once that sequel is in my hands, I'm gonna freaking shed a tear, because I am so freaking excited. Oh god, Warm Bodies. Warm Bodies is so... Warm Bodies is just so good. I'm just rambling now, because I can only say Warm Bodies is so good so many times before it gets really stupid and annoying. So I'm going to stop now, if I haven't already reached that point. Alright, so that was Top 5 Wednesday. Again, it was underrated books, in case I didn't make that clear enough. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Let's be friends. I love having friends, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!